8th grade Humanities with Nafisa Islam featuring Janitul Kabir. I'm Nafisa Islam, and today at 8th grade Humanities we'll be interviewing Janitul Kabir on the Black Lives Matter movement. Please introduce yourselves to the viewers.
Hi, my name is Janitul Kabir. I am a Fordham University student who is majoring in neuroscience and minoring in history. And I'm also Nafisa's cousin.
So what was the relevancy of the Black Lives Matter movement, and why was George Floyd's death a turning point in history?
So the Black Lives Matter movement is a social movement advocating for non-violent civil disobedience and protests against police brutality and other racially motivated violence against Black people. This has been going on since like the beginning of even America with slavery, and now when slavery was taken away, the 13th Amendment saying how if a person is arrested, they could go straight to jail and basically be a slave again. So that's when the police brutality started. How black people would be disproportionately more arrested than white people. So for George Floyd, this triggered an outrage across the nation because first it was back to back with two other like viral killings of Black people that happened. One of them was Ahmed Arby's murder, who was found jogging, and then two white men came out of the car and shot him to death. The second one was Breonna Taylor, who was shot at a home invasion, and they shot her 8 times, and they went to the wrong house. And then right after that was George Floyd's one, and that was just the trigger that the nation needed to like go full on protest mode. And with COVID and everything, and since everybody's also on the edge of anxiety with what's going on, it just made them realize more how America is a flawed system and country.
Okay, so next question. What has the Black Lives Matter movement achieved so far?
With the George Floyd incident, and then there being a national outrage across the country with mass protests, and a lot of people became much more aware of what was going on, and they became much more interested in what was going on, and they're like socially aware now. This also led for reform. So like there's now police reform is starting now, where like cities across the country are trying to defund the police because police are more funded, much more funded than education, so they're trying to change that. And then since George Floyd's killing thing, a whole bunch of cities also restricted the use of chokehold, and then the knock search warrant, which was from the Breonna Taylor case. And then the Black Lives Matter movement also helped take down a lot of enslaver colonizers and Confederate leaders. They take down their statues. And then for education as well, schools have adopted change to also talk about the Black Lives Matter movement and how Black people are like not as advantaged than as white people.
Well, do you think President Trump has been doing his best addressing these matters?
Well, I think President Trump can try much more. He clearly has a misunderstanding what the Black Lives movement is. He believes that we are saying that only Black Lives matter. Every other life does not matter. Where actually you're just saying Black Lives matters as just as much as everybody else's lives. But that's not something he's been trying to understand. What he has done during the George Floyd controversy, it was very disappointing with him having raid the protests and then have like the security and the Secret Service out, and then the armed guards, and with people protesting in front of the White House, and he was just sitting inside there under his bunker. He didn't do anything. So it would be really helpful before he leaves to acknowledge the circumstances America is in and try to do what he can after his presidency.
Okay, last question. Do you think protests like these are important for our society?
Of course. course, the Constitution, it says that the First Amendment is freedom of speech, and that is exactly what we're doing. We are raising our voices. We want change, and we are protesting for that. That is exactly what it means to be American, right? That is what everyone says. Freedom, like America is the land of the free, right? So that's exactly what we're doing. We are living in America, and we are doing the right that was given to us. And so protesting also shows that our country is not a perfect country. It is a flawed country that needs a lot of work, and it also educates people about what is going on. What I suggest in the future, what I hope people do in the future, is that don't just look at a certain media outlet. Do your research and go to different sources, because a lot of media is biased and you wouldn't really know what's going on, just like the Black Lives Matter protests, where like the right-wing TV were showing that it was riots, people were stealing, Black lives don't actually care about us, they just want to burn down the country. And left-wingers, they were trying their best to also they were trying their best to showcase that Black Lives Matter is not that all bad. But again, in the television, in the news, no one was showing when it was peaceful protests. No one was showing how there was a mass of diversity of people during the protest. And that's what needs to be done. Unbiased programming of what is going on, and people need to get their facts straight.
Well, that's the end. Thank you so much, Janitul Kabir, for coming on our show today.
You're welcome.
At the end of the day, African Americans are humans as well. Their lives matter. The Black Lives Matter movement was a global movement advocating their rights. They are tired of how unfair they've been treated all those years. Since the beginning of America, they've been treated horribly. Millions and millions of African Americans have been killed and tortured. But they won't be able to stand this anymore. None of us can't. So now it's time for us to stand up for what we believe in and do everything that we can to support them. For instance, these clips that will be shown right now. These are some facts and statistics about the Black Lives Matter movement. Hopefully our viewers understood more about the Black Lives Matter movement now. And that's the end of this interview. Thank you.